Hello, welcome to another episode of Pivotal Moments with Lolita. Once again, I'm excited about having this conversation. So this month, let me just start by saying, of course, it's May, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So all of the conversations we have this month are going to have something around mental health and awareness. So I am super excited about today's guest because I have a young man who is just, first of all, super talented. And he is doing a campaign about mental health, post-traumatic stress disorder, all of that. So I'm going to give him the mic so that he can tell you a little bit more about what he's doing. Welcome to Pivotal Moments, Nicco.
First off, thank you for having me, Lita. You're amazing. So I'm a mental health driven artist. At first, I wasn't always like that. I kind of fell into the mental health sphere just based off my personal experiences in life. Started making music when I was like 12 or 13. Been doing this my entire life, but it didn't really have a purpose until about 3 or 4 years ago when I was going through some very, very turbulent times in my life. Spent some time in Atlanta, went to college out there. I'm a graduate of Georgia State University. Got 2 bachelor's degrees in marketing and business. Worked in that field for a while and really was doing work that didn't mean anything to me when I was out there. And it was all in pursuit to try to get a paycheck to help do the music, which became this kind of rat race cycle. And it caused me to sacrifice a lot and me not really feeling like I was gaining much. So what I ended up doing was I ended up relocating back to the DMV where I had a lot more support. My family is here and here I am. So those turbulent times helped me transform what I just did for fun into something that I really do need to do to deal with my issues in life. Or if there's a problem, I write about it. If there's some kind of trauma I've been through, I write about it. And I'm a storyteller. So one of my caveats is let's just be honest, which is my merch line right now. But it's just about telling the truth, and telling the truth to yourself first above anyone or anything else. That's my spin on it, is tell the truth to yourself. Because if you can't tell the truth to yourself, you're not going to be able to live an honest life. And if you can't live an honest life, you can't live a successful life, to me.
Wow. Look, in that intro alone, I think you
Not bad.
we only get the nuggets at the end, but you didn't drop the nuggets already.
Look, so yeah, I usually I jump right into things. I try to, because I like for people to see the big picture as soon as possible. My music is like that too. Like I'm like, yo, this is this.
Yep.
And I'm gonna tell you right away, so.
I love it. I love it. And I have a surprise for y'all. You are going to see one of his videos at the end of this. So yeah, just stay tuned. But let's get into the conversation. So we are super excited to have Nicco here. And thank you for that introduction. Just again, amazing, background. But let's talk about pivotal moments. And let's talk about the pivotal moment that you want to share today, because I know, like most people, there's like hundreds of moments we pivot in life. But what did you want to share with us today?
So I would say my pivotal moment was when I made the decision to come back to the DMV after having been in Atlanta for 7 years. So moved down there when I was 19, starry-eyed. I'm going to make a living for myself in Atlanta. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to college, yeah, but I really want to be down here to pursue music. And then, like I said, that didn't go very well. So I ended up finishing college. I really forced myself to do it. I never felt like it was something I truly wanted to do. It was more so like a pressure from parents and family who thought that that's the only way you can succeed in life is if you get an education, which is false. But, they're products of the generation they grew up in where you did need to have that. Right. So I was in college, forced my way through it, got jobs, and I've worked everywhere from consulting. I did my own consulting for a while. I worked for several different companies, small, medium, large, worked at corporations. I've done all that stuff. Right. And just was not getting fulfilled and never made enough to really pursue my dream. And I remember it got really bad to where opportunities started drying up for whatever reason. And I would go on. I've interviewed with tens of hundreds, I feel like, of companies. And there was always a reason why I wouldn't get hired. Overqualified, underqualified. Well, this candidate can do this and you can't. Or, well, what do you really want to do? And in my mind, I'm like, yo, I need a job so I can pay, so I can get this music and da. Right. But nothing ever panned out. I think there was even a situation at I got interviewed at Coca-Cola to be in one of their like young initiative marketing programs, right? Literally the day they didn't directly hire me, but I could tell they wanted to. And I got a phone call the day after I got the interview saying that the program got cut. So no, so the program didn't even end up happening. And in my mind, I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is going on? So as I'm looking for new work and stuff like this, I had done consulting here and there. I did that towards the end of college. That was like the first company I ever started. And it made okay money, but it wasn't enough to really do what I needed to do because because I was in there by myself. I didn't have any family out there. And it got to the point where I had to go back to working a regular job that I couldn't stand. I was working at a hospital at the time doing transport, which is like super, super high intensity body movements. Like you're doing it for 12 plus hour shifts. It was a nightmare. I would usually work all day, pay my bills, and then have to start from ground zero again and work the entire time to get the next cycle of bills off me. And I'm like, okay, this can't work like this. So I made the difficult decision to come back, which was very, very hard for me because I felt like a failure. I was like, okay, I came out here to do music. And the only thing that I did was release like a small EP when I was in college. Aside from that, I hadn't made any new songs. I hadn't done relatively anything music related. I felt like I had been building blocks in the business world, which eventually dried up, but none in what I was actually passionate about. So all of that happens. And then I just make the decision to move back home and pretty much start from ground zero. I knew that I knew that the fact that I've been rapping for so long didn't matter anymore and that I had to start from scratch and find some way to get any kind of interest in a super oversaturated music market where people love you one day and then they move on to the next artist because there's just that many. And it's a problem I'm still in the midst of solving, but I'm light years ahead of where I was when I started, which is great. So here I am.
Wow. Wow. I mean, first of all, I can totally appreciate what you're saying because anytime you feel like you have to kind of go back home, or go back to a place you started, I get it. It can feel like a failure, and especially like you said, you're already going just through so much with trying to build this music piece. And this is also a part of like your family legacy. Like you come from a musical background. So I can certainly appreciate just the amount of pressure and how that was weighing on you. But now when we talk about the pivot, we always come back to what you discovered was of importance to you, because that the pivotal moment is really the thing that circles around that pivot. So what did you discover was your thing that everything must circle around, that some people term it your why? What was that for you? What did you discover?
That's actually perfect that you asked that because I didn't touch on it in that story I did. So mind you, as everything's happening that I just told you, I'm writing songs, right? I'm writing songs because I'm alone, I'm by myself, I'm not feeling happy, and I felt like I didn't have anyone to turn to. So what I did was I was like, well, you want to do music, but it's like, at that point in time, it went from, okay, I want to be an artist to I'm doing this to survive because I didn't have anywhere else to go. I didn't think anyone else understood what I was going through, so I would write about it. And over the course of about a year or so, me and one of my best friends now, his producer name is New Message, but his name's Davon. We got really, really close. I met him right when I got to Atlanta, but we didn't start working together until that pivotal year. And I remember I recorded my first album in his mother's basement when he was living there. It was just me and him, and he afforded me the luxury of giving me beats to write to, and we just it was like that low moment is where me and him clicked. And like as I was going through all this stuff, I was writing music about it, writing music about it, writing music about it, and before I knew it, I had an album. And I didn't have the money to get it mixed and mastered professionally, but the timing of it ended up being perfect because when I got finished recording was when I moved back to the DMV. But I would say that was the pivotal moment. That was when I feel like I said, I found my purpose for writing music. At first, it was just trying to be an artist, you know, be on stage, perform, show everybody how good I am at it. But then it was like, all right, you got to survive. Like your mental's not okay. So write all your stuff down and try to see if you can put these things in songs, and that'll make you feel better. And it did.
Wow. Oh my goodness. And I so appreciate you sharing that, because again, we're talking about mental health awareness, right? And there's so many, which we'll have to have another conversation, but it's hard for people to talk about how they're feeling and what they're going through and being down. And I just really appreciate that you shared that, because you didn't really have anyone that you could talk to, or at least that's how you felt. Like you didn't have anyone you could
Right.
talk to at that moment, but you put your message in the music, so you still were really communicating how you felt. And I think that's very key for people to see who are watching this. Listen, I'm team therapy. I personally love that, but I recognize not everybody feels comfortable with going to a therapist or talking to someone. But you've got to get those feelings out. And if it is by paper and pen, if it is by your music, like Nicco's saying, get it out. Get that. That's what helped you, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you sharing that.
No, thank you. Yeah. And that's the thing, it's at the end of the day, there's different solutions for whatever problem you have, right? Everyone's solution may not be directly going to a therapist. It may be talking about it. It may be writing it, because at the end of the day, whether you go to a therapist or whether you're expressing yourself artistically, it's about your ability to fight whatever demon is on your back, because a therapist won't do it for you. Writing won't do all of it for you. You have to make a conscious decision every day to say, I'm not going to be like what this is. Like, because for instance, I went to therapy while I was writing the album too. I went to the university the university has services for alumni for mental health and stuff. So I was seeing a therapist. But one of the things that like I tell people about therapy is you have to put the work in. Like, she helped me tremendously. I would say she changed my life. But at the end of the day, after that hour was finished, I had to go out into the world and implement the behaviors necessary to not carry those burdens anymore. And I think that's something that's overlooked when it comes to that. I think people go to therapy with like kind of like the wrong idea, or they express themselves and and think that that's it. No, that's where it starts.
Mm.
That's where it starts. Like the real fight is when you're by yourself in the dark at night. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
and that's what it is, and it gets hard, but you have to going to therapy and expressing yourself kind of just makes the battle easier because you're aware of it. I think when
Mhm.
you're aware of something, it allows you to fight it much more effectively than if you're unaware. Because if you're unaware, you're just running around, you don't know what you're doing. But when you can be aware is what I always try to preach, which is where my music comes from. It's just about awareness. This is an audio recording of something that has happened, that has legitimately happened from start to finish. How can I, myself, the artist, take myself then out of the situation, evaluate it through the song and say, damn, why did I do that? Or damn, I was thinking that at this time, where does that come from? And that's kind of how you start to learn, and then you start to get better. And it takes years. It takes a long time. When you think about a lot of people who have issues, they weren't issues that popped up in one day. It's repeated trauma over a course of time. And it's only logical to think that it would take the same amount of time to at least fight it to get away from it.
Mm. My viewers know, like, I'm always looking for those moments of just like that mic drop moment that almost makes me speechless. And you got it. I mean, the part about being aware, the part about, a therapist or journaling, like that, those are tools, but it's not the complete thing. I even think of it sometimes like with medicine, a person with diabetes or high blood pressure, you can get all the medicine you want, but if you still are out there eating whatever you want and not exercising, that medicine is limited in what it can really do. And it's the same with the mental health, like you're saying, like, you can go to a therapist, you can spend hours talking, you can make music, but unless you put the work in, and that's all, that is hard, but unless you put that work in, you're really not necessarily going to see the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Uh,
Okay, so now we've switched gears a little bit to talk about adjustments. Now, when we think about pivoting, those always are generated around things that are important to us. So those are kind of like the nice, the nice warm and fuzzy, it's my why and all of that. But with adjustments, a lot of times adjustment is kind of like it's adapting to something that's uncomfortable. It's adapting to things that aren't familiar, and it can kind of be an ugly space. So share with us a time when you had to make an adjustment rather than to pivot.
to be honest, I would say when I've had to make an adjustment, I would say just chasing music and the lane that I've chosen in general, I've had to adjust a billion times.
Yeah.
The vision is always the same, the end goal is still the same, but how you get there has always changes. So, like I said at first, I was just making music to make music. And then I kind of fell into the mental health space and it wasn't even just I didn't even recognize it on my own. It was a combination of seeing what drew people to me and seeing what the commonalities in the music once I had written it and putting it out. Like I used to hear before I came up with Let's Just Be Honest, I used to always hear people say, "Oh, you're very honest. You're very emotional in your music." Like when I listen to your song, like I feel you when you're speaking. And I'm like, damn, that sounds very and it's like if emotions are tied up into it like that, and that's what people are saying, what I'm doing out in the real world is like really putting my pain in the songs. That sounds a lot like mental health. So I was like, okay, why don't we go from you just self-expressing yourself to, getting into that space, which is even to this day still a little nervous for me because I realize it's a huge issue that, I don't have the educational background. Really, most of what I talk about in mental health is just how it relates to my personal life. And there are times, just being transparent with you, where I do run into people who say things or are like, yo, you've done this or done that, or I'm going through this. And I honestly don't know what to say sometimes, and, you know, it's scary knowing that I also have to live by the things I say.
Mm.
Like I'm an artist where, you can't walk around saying, let's just be honest, if you're not telling the truth all the time. You know what I mean? And that's a standard that I've, kind of fell and set for myself. So it's one of those things, like as things grow, I have to adjust myself to make sure that I'm the best version of myself possible, which is why is a gift and a curse. Cause I am hard on myself sometimes. Cause I'm like, yo, Nick, you have, if you're going to make a brand in this space and you're going to really represent it, then you're going to really have to represent it. Like I can't be out here acting crazy. You know what I mean? Or I can make mistakes, but because there's something I'm standing behind, there has to be that extra caution. So I would say, yeah, adjustments are made all the time, and it's like I'll recognize a problem within myself and it's like, okay, you got to actively work on that to fix that, especially if you're going to be in this space. So I would say a lot of it's just being responsible, really.
Yeah.
Being responsible with the voice you have and just making sure you stay on track.
Yeah. And, as I'm hearing you talk, and of course, like I've been following you on social media, um, it's bravery. That's what comes to my mind, the bravery and the courage to be honest, to be transparent. It's a huge responsibility, one that many people choose not to take, and so for you to choose, right? Like you said, like this is all you. This is you making a decision to be honest and to make that your brand and to make adjustments that may be uncomfortable or may be against what you want to do so that you can live up to your brand and your responsibility. Like that's awesome. Yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And, I, like I said, just in following you, I've seen like, I remember you sharing about like even COVID and, like you really take it seriously. You take seriously the responsibility you've put on yourself to be honest and to use your own experiences to help others in the community. So I really appreciate that. Yeah. So as we kind of come to the end of our conversation,
Mhm.
as if you haven't dropped and given us enough, what final gems do you want to leave with our viewers who are watching? What do you want to say directly to them?
I want to say that it's okay. So it's a cliche about around like at this point, but I just want to say that it definitely is okay to be vulnerable and to find your outlet for whatever it is you're going through. I think we live in increasingly stressful times. The world moves a million times a minute, and it's really easy to get caught up in your own life and not deal with things you know you need to in the back of your mind. And I would just say, I would encourage everyone just to take your time in life, and you're only here one time, and make sure that you maximize whatever personal potential you have, and understand that it's not always going to be comfortable. Every time I say let's just be honest, I think about the good and the bad that will come with that, because being honest is not always comforting. And to tell the truth is to risk being divisive as well. So just be prepared for that. And if you can weather the storm, which all of us are capable of doing, then you'll come out on the other side of it saying that it was worth it.
Wow. That's good stuff right there. You guys, you see the links on the screen. Y'all need to follow him, because have him come and speak. Actually, if you're in the school system or you're dealing with young people, especially, you already see what's up. Have him, like, this is information and nuggets that really needs to be out there and on as many platforms as possible. So Nicco, thank you for coming, sharing your truth and being honest. Before I let you go, though, we are going to be showing this video. So can you just tell us a little bit about this song? This was the prelude to what's coming. So can you tell us a little bit about this song that we're going to be watching?
Oh, absolutely. Great question. So the song is called PTSD, which is also my second studio album, which is now finished. We're just filming music videos and things like that, and getting all the public relations and PR ready. So it's not out yet. But this song pretty much is the prelude to what the album is about. And I touch on a lot of things that happened right when I got home. So my music is a chronological story of my life from 2016 up until now. So my first album covers 2016 to 2019, and this album covers 2019 to 2021. And if you were to listen to both albums front to back, you would literally see the transformation of me back in 2016 to who I've become now. And PTSD illustrates that in between part between the first and the second album, where I really felt low. That was right when I got back home. That was right when I had to confront my family and be like, yo, this isn't working out. I need your help. Reconnecting with friends who asked, where you been the past couple of years, what happened with the music, like what's going on, and having to just be like, feeling like a failure, and realizing I had to pivot again. And there's actually a very, very, very big reveal on the second album, which is a situation that went on for several years that I never told anyone about out of sheer embarrassment. And I'm getting ready to reveal that on the second album, which makes me nervous as hell, but I know that I need to do it because of the implications of what it's going to mean coming from someone young, Black, and in life. So highly encourage you all to keep up with me. I have a documentary on the website called Let's Just Be Honest at NiccoFeem.com. You can check out if you want to learn more about, me and my background, where I come from and stuff like that. But really excited for the second album. Working on it with two great videographers, TL Benton and Jonna Dominic, who both have their own film companies. We're shooting this video series where it's like a series of it's a therapy session, and the songs are told through flashbacks to illustrate post-traumatic stress disorder, because that's one of the symptoms of it. So you'll figure out why I feel like I had PTSD in that album. So yeah, stay tuned.
Whew, I can't wait. I can't wait. I am super excited. Oh, this is good stuff. Well, Nicco, we once again, before I show the video, just want to say, first of all, thank you for coming and sharing your truth, on my platform, but also just thank you once again for your bravery, for your courage as a person who has dealt with, depression and things like that, have coached other people. I know the space of transparency can be really challenging and weigh heavy, but I just have much respect for you for taking on that responsibility and all that you're doing for the community and for the world of mental health. So just want to say that. Thank you so much for you.
Listen, thank you for you. Look, I'm so glad that we connected. I'm so glad that we met, and I look forward to doing another one of these at some point when the album comes out, just so we can talk about, you know, that big reveal, whatever. But no, but thank you for having me. Like stuff like this is awesome. I always tell myself like I'd love to have some kind of a show I'm a part of one day.
Yeah.
You know, rapping's one thing, but I like talking and just sharing experiences and stuff like that. So thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get right into this next video so you can see. And of course, like I said, follow the links there so that you can keep up with Nicco and all the amazing things we can see when his everything drops in this big reveal. And we will continue the conversation. So once again, thank you for tuning in and for your support. And I'll see you next time on Pivotal Moments with Lolita. Check this video out.
Pulled up to my mama house and couldn't believe it. 7 years had gone by and I couldn't achieve it. Said I wasn't coming back till I make it in music, but here I am so depressed and angry I'm feeling useless. Unemployment checks are feeding me, man I'm embarrassed. Atlanta beat me to death so much that I couldn't bear it. I became a slave for money, dreams are expensive, and that pursuit cost me everything, leaving me helpless. My small apartment was a cage without any water. Roaches and dirty trash bags are all over the corner. I told my family, nothing seemed to be working. I wrote this album about all my struggles, I think it's potent. I called it Tragic Hero, all I had was a bunch of raps. All my resentment and anger with storylines to match. Let me put it together, prove that I'm meant for this. I spent my entire life trying to please you and shit. I hated who I'd become, how could this be? Told you exactly what I wanted when I was 13. And now we fighting over debt that will never be paid. $100,000 gone cause you both were afraid. And now it's time for me to make up the losses you started. I came back as this drunk, sex-crazed alcoholic, but it's fine. Little did I know I was stuck. The true battle within myself had only begun. I took a job as a bartender at a nightclub. Learned how to flirt with these women without feeling the love. Disconnected sex and liquor with fuel to the fire. From these girls, I'm a liar. I was a different person, all my emotions were gone. Panic attacks about my past, I was scared to move on. No amount of love could get to the demon inside. The first month in my mama's house, all I did was cry. I hated it here. I moved away at 19 to pursue my career. Then fell in love with the fantasy girl that wasn't real. Manipulated from these insecurities that I feel. More on that later. It hurts for me to speak about it. Whoever you are, I swear to God I'll kill you, don't doubt it. I left a trail of destruction, my parents never knew me. Ignored so much of my issues, they began to consume me. I withdrew inside my room, feeling a rift. Avoided places I'd see the people I grew up with. So ashamed of my life, never posted online. Rejected job after job, respectfully declined.